I want to bring in Paul Gessler, who is a reporter photographer for Fox 45. He joins me now on the phone. Paul, you've just heard me recap exactly what we know. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, Vlad. So those three loud bangs I heard from around the corner. Many of us have been trying to take refuge in cars, trying to get warm, trying to get our batteries on our cell phones back. We've got a 4 o'clock newscast we're also trying to get ready for that we have every intention of trying to broadcast. At about 1:15, many of us in the newsroom were working on our stories that day. As you know, in a newsroom, people are always running around, and usually a lot of people are out of the newsroom at that time. Today, we happen to have some news consulting training that many of us were getting to work early. Many of us were in the newsroom, whereas other times we would have been outside. So the newsroom was pretty full, a lot fuller than usual, when our security guard kind of quickly came in and told everyone, this isn't a drill. Everyone needs to go upstairs and evacuate through a side entrance. We have someone who's made some threats. He didn't go into much detail after that because I know Jay was juggling that situation. We all walked outside and we all smelled something burning, and that's when we saw a car on fire in the parking lot. To this hour, not many of us, no one really knows whose car that was. So there's some suspicion that might be the suspect's car. But the gas tank was on fire. It took about 15 minutes for firefighters to arrive. They quickly put it out. But then word started traveling that there was actually someone in the building. That's when I kind of came around and I put on my Periscope a brief video of the guy in that white suit. And then at that point, a couple minutes later, police arrived and started pushing us farther and farther back. So it's been a kind of a weird last 2+ hours here for sure.
Paul, let me ask you, your station director in a posting on Facebook said apparently this individual had made some threats before. Are you aware of any of that? Have you ever come into contact with this suspect?
Now, I suspect I might know who he's talking about. I hadn't heard that it was that person. We have had someone specifically who has made threats against the station, and his photo has been posted in some of the hallways. And we've had incidents, Vlad, over the course of the past few months of people throwing rocks or bricks through our windows. So I don't know if you see from some of those live pictures, you're probably seeing there's a piece of plyboard over one of the windows. That's one of our more recent incidents where someone has targeted our station and thrown something through the window. And I think George from our competitor at CBS, the local CBS, had mentioned that some of this stuff has happened in the market before. Just 2 years ago, that the ABC affiliate here in Baltimore, all of us were covering the situation where there was a guy who drove a dump truck through the front lobby there. So that was the last time where media has kind of covered itself in the city in a very strange, dangerous way. So I think that kind of opened a lot of people's eyes here locally. And we've had a lot of security measures put in place at our station since that incident and since the incidents that we've had where people have thrown stuff through our windows. We've gotten our windows tinted. We've gotten protective screens or protective coating on them. We've added more security doors. So I think with some of those implementations, I think that helped a lot, in addition to having Jay there, our security guard, who really, truly is our frontline security, who really dealt with this guy. I think all of those measures put into place stopped this guy from perhaps doing anything more than what has transpired.
And I'm guessing, Paul, that your security guard is probably not armed. So for somebody to put himself in a situation like that to protect his coworkers and his colleagues is certainly heroic and commendable.
And not only that, Vlad, the way he handled the situation as well, making sure the guy was comfortable, talking with him really in a very calm way, as Jay is. Jay is very calm. So I think when he came in the newsroom with his order to get out, I think that everyone really was flagged by that. So I think Jay's to really be commended for his actions today, for sure.
And Paul, when the station has been threatened, including some of your other colleagues at the other stations there, has it been in relation to a story that you're doing, or just because people are unhappy with the media in general?
No, that's a good question, Vlad. I mean, it's a really strange time to be a journalist these days, and I think in hearing from our station management about the individual who has made threats in the past. And again, I don't want to draw any correlation between that individual and the man who was lying in the street right now. But in that situation before, the station management has not mentioned anything specific to any coverage. It just happened to be threats were made.
All right, Paul, you're absolutely right. It is a very turbulent time to be a reporter, and generally you hear these kinds of things, these threats, these attacks made against reporters in places outside of the United States. But the fact is that they happen here as well. They have happened in the past, and it is a real threat. It is a very real threat. And again, commend your security guard there. Jay, what is this, Jay?
We just know him as Jay, Vlad.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's great. But, you know, that sounds like somebody who really probably prevented this from being much worse than it is. Paul Gessler, who is a reporter at Fox 45 there in Baltimore. Paul, stay safe. Thank you very much for your reporting. We appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you, Vlad.